Hello, and welcome to this video presentation. My name is Paul Brett. I'm a Senior Software Support Analyst supporting the Transformation Extender product from IBM. The topic for today's video is using the MemoryLink Adapter. Feel free to reach out to me on popular social media channels at Paul Brett IBM. The ITX MemoryLink Adapter. It allows for launcher watchers to be triggered without traditional adapters like file, MQ or database being involved. It automatically handles wildcarding if one does not exist. Watches can be triggered inline from other watches, and the MemoryLink output of the map scope triggers linked maps from the same mapping thread. Outcome of inline triggered maps affect maps that triggered them. So, if an inline triggered map fails, the map that triggered it fails. Multiple inline maps will be run sequentially. It can be used in a rule via a put function to trigger other watches. Settings can use map or card scope. The -now option can be used to trigger immediately during a put rule. Let's get into a practical demonstration. Here we have the Design Studio open, and I have one project called MemoryLink. Within the project I have one map source file called test.mms, and within that there are 3 executable maps. Let's walk through them one at a time. Test 1a. This is triggered when the file input1a.txt arrives. Output card 1 has a 2-second pause, which I use the batch adapter for. Output card 2 takes the data from input card 1, but the source of output card 2 is the MemoryLink adapter. The command in use is test with a capital T. Output card 3 is yet another pause using a get to the batch adapter, yet another 2 seconds. Okay, so this map will run for 4 seconds, barring any of the time taken to run the submap called by the MemoryLink adapter in output card 2. Let's have a quick look at test 2. This is the map that is going to be called. The input card, as you can see, is MemoryLink. It's also got test with a capital T. And on the output card we are pausing for yet another 2 seconds. So overall I would expect test 1a to run for 6 seconds. 2 seconds pause in output card 1, 2 seconds pause in output card 3, and then a further 2 seconds while it waits for the result of the called map in output card 2. We shall see that shortly. Test 1b is slightly different. It's the same as test 1a, except in the output card 2 we're not using the card to do the source, we're using a put rule. Now I've got an if, I'm checking the input for the word now. If it includes the word now, then the -now option will be used in my put. Otherwise it will not be used. We're also putting to the capital T test, so this will also kick off the map test 2. Let's have a look at that in the Integration Flow Designer. Here we have those 3 maps in the Integration Flow Designer, test 1a, test 1b and test 2. As you can see, I've drawn pseudo links from output card 2 of both test 1a and test 1b to the input card of test 2. The Integration Flow Designer does not automatically detect that the MemoryLink adapter and here match up. It does not draw automatic links, so if you want the association to be made by the user, pseudo links are required, which can be selected from this toolbar here. So let's see how this runs when we execute it using the launcher. So the first action we want to take is to start the Transformation Extender launcher. So I'm going to do that in the Services window. In my launcher monitor you will see the 3 watches appear, test 1a, test 1b and test 2. Over here in my command prompt window I'm going to trigger some of these maps with some batch files that I've pre-prepared. So let's start 1a first. The map has executed, test 2 has executed, and we'll go through those results in a moment. Let's run 1b. Interesting result. And finally 1B with the now option. Okay, let's take a print screen of that and we'll walk through those results individually. Here we have the screenshot that we produced earlier from the 3 scenarios. We have test 1A, which triggered on its own and then triggered test 2 with the MemoryLink adapter on output card 2. And we have the test 1B map, which was triggered once without the dash now option and then once again with the dash now option. Let's look at those executions over a period of time. Test 1A ran for 6 seconds. The first 2 seconds, represented between the red and the first yellow line, is output card 1 doing a pause of 2 seconds. At this point, output card 2 would have cut in, calling test 2, but it would not have been committed. Output card 3 then continues to the second yellow line, making the complete execution of test 1A 4 seconds long, but then during the cleanup phase a commit is done. Test 2 begins execution and test 1 does not finish until test 2 has completed, making the overall runtime for test 1A 6 seconds. Let's move on to test 1B. Test 1B, the first output card paused for 2 seconds, then the put rule was used without the dash now option. Output card 3 then executes with a further pause of 2 seconds and the map finishes. Now the transaction is committed, test 2 begins executing, but because it is divorced from the test 1B map, test 1B actually finishes at this point. Moving on to the third scenario, test 1B with the dash now option. Output card 1 starts and runs for 2 seconds as evidenced between the red and the yellow line. Then the put rule is executed with the dash now option and you can see that test 2 kicks off immediately and runs concurrently with test 1B, running output card 3 which is a 2 second pause along with test 2 which has its 2 second pause, and they both finish at approximately the same time. That is the end of my demonstration using the MemoryLink adapter. Hopefully you could see the 3 different scenarios in which it could be used with the launcher to trigger maps in a link scenario, either with or without concurrency, with or without waiting for the master map to complete execution before the submap executes. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my video presentation today. If you found the content interesting and informative, please hit that like button and perhaps leave a comment. Consider subscribing to my YouTube channel as I release content such as this on a regular basis. Feel free to reach out to me on popular social media channels at Paul Brett IBM. Thank you.